What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Two-Wheeled Rider YouTube channel. My name is Mario Orsini, and originally this was going to be one single video about how I go about editing my motorcycle travel series. However, if it was just one video, it was going to be nearly an hour long. So I've decided to break it up into three separate videos. The video you're about to watch are some of my thoughts on different video editing softwares that are available, some of the pros and cons, what works on what machine, what doesn't, and also what I like to use. So there's going to be two other videos released today. The other one is going to be like my editing workflow, and then one final video is going to be on like some tips and tricks that I use while I'm editing. So some of the stuff I say is going to jump around a little bit because this was originally supposed to be one full-length, really long video, but I'm going to let you guys kind of choose what it is you want to watch. If you want to watch all three, watch all three. So if I say something and it kind of cuts off at some point near the end of a video, or it sounds a little funny at the beginning, that's why. But anyway, we're going to cut over to this one about what I think about different editing software packages and what I use personally. So probably one of the most popular questions I get, at least from people asking me about editing, is what editing software I use. Well, I'll get to that in a moment, but let me go over a few different editing softwares and kind of the pros and cons with them and what I would suggest. Now, obviously, many of you are going to be shooting stuff on GoPro. GoPro has an editing software. It's pretty basic. It'll do things. I mean, to be honest, there's YouTubers out there with probably, I don't know, 50 times more subs than what I have that are still using the GoPro software. It's okay, but it's not one of my choices. If you're working on a Mac, my top choice would be iMovie when you're just starting out. In fact, probably the first year and a half I was making YouTube videos, I did everything out of iMovie. It's a very powerful software, it's really user-friendly, and I think it's great. You can make some awesome videos in iMovie. Obviously, the big downside is you need to have a Mac because you can't run that on a Windows-based machine. So if you don't want to go buy, you don't have to buy a new Mac, but if you don't want to go buy a Mac computer and learn how to use a Mac, iMovie's not going to be for you. So that leaves you with a couple of options, and I'm not going to cover every video editing software package because there's way too many. I'm just going to hit the highlights. So probably the biggest one out there is Adobe, and you have the entire Creative Suite. I used to use Adobe for a lot of stuff when it came to photo editing and logo design and those sorts of things, but I quit using it after like CS3 or CS4 because lately they've gone to this whole cloud-based thing, which is great because you get all these updates for free. However, the downside is you have to pay a monthly fee to use it. It's an ongoing fee from here to eternity, and it's just not something that's feasible for a lot of people. It's just not something I wanted to do. However, the plus side with Adobe is, aside from getting all the updates, and they have video editing software, and they have graphic, I guess you call it like video graphics you can create in After Effects. I mean, it's an awesome program. I just don't want to be paying a monthly fee. I pay enough monthly fees and bills as it is. But the other big upside to it is you can use it on Windows or you can use it on a Windows-based machine, which is really handy. If you're working on a Windows machine, and this software also works on a Mac, there's a software called DaVinci. I've messed around with it. It's got a lot of great capabilities, but I haven't edited anything in it. I've only kind of played around with the tools, but I've read a lot of great things about it. So lastly, we come to the editing software I use. I use Final Cut Pro. Two downsides to Final Cut Pro. Downside number one, again, you have to have a Mac because you can't run it on a Windows-based machine. And downside number two is the upfront cost of $300. But there's no monthly fee. They've done, I don't know, 14, 15 major updates to it in the last few years. I haven't had to pay anything for those. And if you're like me and you have multiple Mac computers, you can, I forget what your license is for. It's either 3 to 5 computers you can run it on. So I only had to buy it once, and I can use it on my iMac when I'm editing here in my office, or I can use it on my MacBook Pro when I'm out on the road. The other nice thing about it is if you started working in iMovie, it's pretty easy to learn Final Cut. Now there are far more many tools in Final Cut than what's available in iMovie, but the workflow and process is about the same. So anyway, I like Final Cut. I know other people are going to like Adobe, but here's the deal. I'm going to show you guys how I work in Final Cut tonight. Most of the tools in Adobe are going to be comparable, about the same sort of deal. If you're working in iMovie, obviously you're not going to have all these tools, but you can still use the workflow I'm using. You just might not be able to do a couple of the fancier effects and stuff that I put into my videos. Think about it this way. If we were comparing them to motorcycles, Final Cut Pro is like my 1290 Super Adventure. iMovie is like a Honda XR 650L. They're both going to get you there. They both have handlebars. Throttle's in the same spot. Brakes are in the same spot. They both have a clutch. One just has a little bit fancier stuff that'll allow you to get there a little bit faster, or maybe make it a little more confusing because, you know, you've got all these additional tools. But they're both going to get you there. They're both going to allow you to make a really good video. So anyway, those are my thoughts on video editing software. I don't think there's a right or a wrong. Obviously, I work on a Mac, so I started out with iMovie, and I've since transitioned into Final Cut. There's nothing wrong with the Adobe products or any of the rest of the products I mentioned. It's just what's going to work best for you. So I hope this video gave you guys a little bit more information on editing software, something to check out. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you like motorcycles, well, this is the place to be. If you have any questions about any of the editing software I went over, let me know down in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. Also, be sure to check out the other 2 editing videos that were released today that are going to give you a little bit more information. And as always, I'll talk to you again soon.